I cannot believe January is already over. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 books I read in January and the books I would love to read in February, so let's just get chatting. The first book I read in January was Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I ended up giving this book a 5-star, but I honestly almost DNF'd this. I did not start enjoying this until like almost 30% into the book. I just thought the main characters, there's like 6 of them, were all so obnoxious and so annoying. But I promise if you push through, it all makes sense in the end and everything is just exactly the way it's supposed to be. But I for sure, if I wasn't reading this for my in-person book club, I probably would have stopped reading it. I was just really not having a good time. But like I said, everything ends up making sense in the end, and it is overall a really enjoyable story. I feel like it has a really important message of just humanity and people and how everyone is literally just trying to survive. This has made me really want to read more of Frederick Bachman's books. He has the most unique writing I've ever experienced, and I want to experience it again. Next, I read The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is the second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I gave this book 3 stars. I actually had a really hard time reading this as well, to no fault of but my own. I read the first one about a year ago and I just had way too much time in between the 2 books. I forgot so much of what was going on that it just took me forever to be like, wait, what's happening? Who are these people? Like, I just couldn't remember anything, and it just made everything so confusing and hard to understand. I will say once I started like getting into the flow of the story and the characters, I did remember and I did have a good time. And I do think if I read this close to when I finished the first one, it would have gotten a higher rating. I just spent a long time being confused, so that's why it got a little bit lower of a rating. I did really love the character development between the 2 main characters in this one, and I do think I will continue on the series. I know the rest of the series is about different characters, and I kind of love that. So I do see myself finishing off the series. This one should come to no surprise, but the next book I read was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I gave this book 5 stars. It's my favorite book in the Empyrean series so far. It was also my favorite book of the month. I had such a fun time reading this. I also was absolutely devastated. I don't want to give too much away because if you haven't read Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, I don't want to spoil anything. I personally love high fantasy, and I love that we moved kind of away from the romantasy and into the more high fantasy elements of this book. I loved the world building, the character developments, the dragon relationships. I loved everything about this book. I also, if you don't know me and what I enjoy in books, I love political intrigue in my novels, and this one just straight up delivered. So that's kind of what I'm going to say about this. I read A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reid. This comes out on August 5th. It was an ARC. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, close to 4. Again, the only reason it wasn't rated higher is I read the first one, A Study in Drowning, right when it came out almost 2 years ago. So there was just a big gap of time where I kind of forgot the characters and how that one had finished. And it takes place almost right away. So there was just some confusion on the characters and the places. But other than that, I love Ava's writing. It is so beautiful. It writes like a modern classic, in my opinion. If you love dark academia, gothic, magical realism, this is going to be the duology for you. It is YA, but it does read more new adult, not explicit or anything like that, but it does just read like a new adult. However, it is considered YA, so take that as you will, but I loved this duology so much. I highly recommend the duology as a whole. I love that in this new novel, we get so much more Preston. He has like half of the POVs in this one, and I'm obsessed with it. I just felt like we missed so much of his character in the first one, and she really delivered, and I loved it. And the last book I read and finished in January was Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adam. I gave this book 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it, which I love all of her books, so I wasn't really surprised. This was no different. I will say it's not my favorite from her. The female main character, Emily, is just mean. Like, no nicer way to put it. She's just mean. She does grow, as one does in a novel, and I ended up liking it, but it just, something about it was just like almost annoying at points. Also, if you read Sarah Adams, because she writes clean rom-coms, this is clean. Like, there's not descriptive scenes, but like sex is talked about so much in this book where it was like almost like, okay, like, didn't really put me off too much. It's just a different style than the rest of her books, and I just wanted to point it out in case you read her books because they're clean rom-coms. Say this one I would like is for a little bit older or more mature audience than some of her other ones. This one is a little bit worse than even Practice Makes Perfect. If you know, you know. But I love the town Rome, Kentucky. We have 3 novels set in that town now, and I love it so much. The main character in this does like Carrie, in my opinion. He is perfect. But yeah, I liked it, and I did see that she's already coming out with a 4th novel. I will read it, and I will read more of her books. This one just didn't feel quite the same, but I would still read it. Those are the 5 books I read in January. I actually had a really great reading month. I was kind of scared for a while there, but I ended up loving so many of the books I read, and I couldn't be happier to the start of my year. So now let's chat about the books I want to read in February. This book is my current read, which is Quicksilver. I don't remember who the author is, but I'll put a picture of it right here. I am like 10% into this book, and I honestly am going in very blind. I don't know anything about it except like the female main character is a thief. That's kind of what I'm getting at right now. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm not very far in to have a huge opinion, but this will probably be the first book I finish in February. Next, I have The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. This is actually a book I'm borrowing from my sister-in-law, Katie. I don't know much about this book except for it's a sci-fi, an adult sci-fi, and she doesn't read sci-fi, and she has just been raving about this book, so I need to read it. I'm so excited. I've read a lot of YA sci-fi, but I've never like delved into adult, and this makes me really excited to try. I think it's a trilogy, and yeah, I don't know too much about it. I like to go into my books blind, so just keep that in mind as you're watching my channel. I don't really know too much about a lot of the books I read beforehand, but I am extremely excited to read this. If she loves it, I know I'll love it, so I'm excited. I am working on my reread of the Harry Potter series, and for me is Order of the Phoenix. I would love to finish this month. I'm like 15% in. I've just been reading it slowly, kind of like during downtime when I don't have a ton of time to read. So I will probably finish this in February. And I've just been loving the reread so much. Reading this as an adult has brought a whole new joy to the series, I feel like, and I'm just having a blast. I actually am so excited. I am doing a buddy read with Annie and Tella here of When the Moon Hatched. I am so excited. I have had this on my radar for an extremely long time. I've just been really intimidated by how big this book is, so I think doing a buddy read will kind of encourage me to just push through and do it, and I'm so excited. I know I'll love it. There's dragons, and that's basically all I need to know. So I am so excited to start this buddy read for this book. It has been talked about so highly on social media, and I am so excited. Plus it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I already love it that much more. Next, of course, I had to throw a romance on here. So I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I don't know too much about this except for it's a cowboy romance, and I've been kind of in the mood for like a cowboy romance. I don't know if I've read one since like The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks, which is like so like old. But I'm excited about this. I don't typically read too much adult romance because I don't care for spice, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. I honestly don't know, so we'll see. But it's February, so of course I have to throw a romance on there, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm a sucker for anything on Kindle Unlimited. Last book on my list is like a maybe, and that's The Night Circus. I have had this book on my TBR for quite a while now, and I've just come up with every excuse in the book to not read it. It's long, it's intimidating, it's this, it's that, it's blah, blah, blah. But again, my sister-in-law Katie read this and she actually really loved it, and she said it gives like adult Caraval. And I have been dying to reread Caraval, but I just don't feel like I'm quite ready for a reread yet. So I'm hoping this will kind of deliver that like hole in me that wants to read Caraval. It is like an adult version though, obviously, and I don't know too much more than that. I know it has like some magic realism in it, and that makes me really excited because I've been loving magic realism. But yeah, we'll see if I get to it. I feel like I need to because it gives like a wintry fall vibe, and if I don't read it in February, there's a great chance I probably won't pick it up again until next year. So encourage me to read this. Like, convince me to read this in the comments, please, because I want to read it, but I'm scared, and I don't know why I'm so scared. Okay, that is my TBR for February. It feels very ambitious. I've been trying to be so much more intentional this year about my reading and what I'm reading. Last year I ended up reading like some books I didn't really care about just to hit a number goal, and I am in no means doing that this year under no cost. So I'm really excited about a lot of the books on this list, and we'll just see what we get to. If you watched this far, thank you so much. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell, all the YouTube things to see more of my content, and I hope you guys all have a blessed day. Bye!